Well, I think this year, 2009, it probably has to do with policing protests. That for a long time I've been worried by the way in which the police have been using their powers with regard to protesters, especially environmental protesters. And this year it all came to a head with the G20 and especially the climate camp protest at Bishopsgate, which went horribly wrong, and the police did things there which were quite unacceptable. And I hope I've played a role in bringing that to light, and we've just had a report from the Inspectorate, Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary, which seems to be changing direction and putting the policing of protest on a different route, a route that respects people's right to protest as its starting point. Well, I think we probably do spend too much time on casework that's better done by people at other levels of government. I think MPs have collected the work of other people like local councillors over the years in a way that is very unhelpful when it comes to the devolution of power, that people come to see you who really should have gone to see their councillor, and they tend to think that MPs are running the local area when in fact it's the council. So I think that is right, that in a properly run country power would lie further down and councils would get that work. Whether listening to debates is the right thing to do instead, I kind of doubt. I think people should be spending more time thinking about their job as legislators, and thinking about what the law should be, and thinking about what the government should be doing. And whether the right way to do that is sitting in the chamber listening to other people, or whether it's sitting in your office thinking about it, it's a different question. But certainly I think we need more thought. Oh, well, it's difficult to know where to start. The first thing would be that the House of Commons in Parliament in general should be representative of the political views of the people, and the electoral system we have at the moment means that it just isn't. That one party has a massive majority on the basis of barely more than a third of the vote, and so that the Commons just doesn't sound like the political views of the country, and that's a very basic thing. And I suppose the second thing is that as I said before, that power should lie much lower down. We need to devolve power to the most local level that we possibly can. And that would help more people to take part in politics. I think one of the big problems the country faces is an alienation from politics. And I think that alienation has to do with the gap between people in politics and people who think of themselves as not in politics. And the only way I think you can overcome that gap is for the people now in politics to do a bit less of it, and for everybody else to do a bit more. Well, I suppose that's a question that arises more for government MPs than for opposition MPs. It's very rarely a problem from the point of view of an opposition MP. And I suppose it's also the case that it's very rarely the case that your constituents all have the same interest. I mean, there are 70,000 of them. The examples where they all want or need the same thing are quite rare. I suppose it might come up when we're talking about money for local facilities, for local authorities in one's area and so on. And so far I've not been faced with a situation where my party has been favouring cutting the money available to Cambridge. So I've not had the experience. My guess is that examples where the interests of your constituents are all the same direction, so important that's the way you'd have to go. But I suppose the other thing to say is that we're not just here to represent interests, we're here to represent values and ideas, and the way to solve the problem would be to ask, well, what's the best for the country? What's the right answer in terms of values, rather than just which interest is more important. I don't know whether I can remember that. I suppose it's that I had the Victorian idea of improvement, that I thought that by being here and being able to speak out on things, I can make things better. Not that I can make them perfect, or that everything would be marvellous, but I could make a difference, and that really is what the job's about.